Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Yinkazi is here. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning, sir. It's always nice to be here to talk sports.
Let's get started. Of course, start on the local scene where officials of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria have refused to state their positions on sprinter Favour Phili, who've been labelled and uncontrollable by an unnamed official of the federation after a rumor plan to switch allegiance from Nigeria. What do you think? Favour Phili, of course, grouse with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria is common, following what has happened to her in the last 8 years.
I feel like it has been a roller coaster when it comes to Favour Phili's case, especially what happened at the just concluded Paris Olympics over there in France. Unfortunately, she was not able to compete in a 100-meter race because of some issues. She was not registered, and that happened. Eventually, it broke her down, and she came out to make some statements. And the Athletic Federation has kept it low. There've been a lot of talks concerning her, but the federation have not come out to say anything. That's why there've been rumors that the federation are maybe a little bit, will I say, scared of Favour Phili on this matter. But it's a good one for the federation not to come out to throw their athletes under the bus. So for now, I love the way the federation have handled the issue.
Well, if you are not familiar with the case of Favour Phili, in 2021, during the Tokyo Olympic Games, she was excluded from the games completely because the federation officials didn't have to coordinate her out of competition test, and so she was not, in fact, she was disqualified from the Olympic Games after arriving in Tokyo, Japan. In 2024, she was not entered for the 100 meters race, allegedly because officials as well did not enter her for the 100 meters race. She was only entered for the 200 meters and the 4x100 meters release event. And this had incensed Favour Phili. And of course, aftermath of that, there's been rumors that she wants to change allegiance from Nigeria to yet another country. Of course, it's commonplace that several Nigerian athletes who had very disappointing times with the various federations had changed allegiances, and of course they are medalists at the just concluded Olympic Games in France. So I think there has to be a lot of realignment, especially coming from the sports minister, and ensuring that Favour Phili, a prospect for medal, do not change nationality. Meanwhile, a former Minister of Sports, Bolaji Abdullahi, has said that the Nigerian sporting ecosystem failed Team Nigeria at the just concluded Paris Olympic Games. And I'm not too sure he is far from the truth.
Yeah, I need to agree with him on this one. I agree with him 100% on this one because a country like Nigeria is expected to go to the Olympic and wrap up those medals. Unfortunately for us, it was not to be. We went to the Olympics and failed massively. We failed the country. Our athletes failed us as well. But I feel like lack of proper planning, as he has said, was the major issue in this matter. So I feel like going forward, we need to do a lot when it comes to preparation for the Paris Olympics or the next Olympic Games ahead of us.
Well, Abdullahi, one more time sports minister, believes that Nigerians couldn't get to the podium because we presented what he calls inter-sports athletes, and I don't completely agree with him in that regard because we had the athletes, but they were not properly prepared. But they couldn't have come so low, describing them as inter-sports champions. Well, let's quickly go to other sports. Ahmed Duplantis and, of course, Lady Tobago, a lion raft for Olympic champions, will descend on the Diamond League weekends on the way. You know, the Olympic Games come and gone, but some 18 current Olympic or World champions will be present in the Swiss city for this week's Diamond League coming up, I'm sure, in just about 12 days or so from now.
Yes, the Diamond League is a competition that we see the world best athletes competing, and the Olympics is just far and gone. So now these athletes are looking forward to the Diamond League, getting prepared to represent themselves as well as their country in the forthcoming Diamond League events.
Diamond League is one of the best. Of course, you know, after the Olympic Games, the others are championships, and Diamond League is one that presents the opportunity for the champions to confront themselves again. And we just hope that those who go on the podium will continue to get better. Quickly, we'll go to basketball, and talking about basketball this hour reminds me that some basketball enthusiasts have urged the Nigerian Basketball Federation to ensure the country builds on the very laudable outing of the Tigress, that's the female basketball team of Nigeria at the just concluded Olympic Games. You remember the D Tigers were able to take down the number 3 and number 4 ranked world champions in female tennis, talking about Australia and Canada. And a lot of people believe that Rene Wakama should build on this, but Rene Wakama as well is looking up to the federation to ensure that there is proper, do I say, conditioning for these female D Tigers.
Yes, I need to agree with Rene Wakama on this one, because the federation has a lot role to play in the progress of our female basketball or the male basketball as a whole. Because we've seen our female basketball go down the drain in the previous years. The success of the basketball team at the just concluded Olympic was as a result of our players, a lot of our players playing over there in Europe and in the USA. That's why they gained that much success in the just concluded Paris Olympic, as well as Rena Wakama herself coaching in the United States of America. So I feel like the federation has a role to play. Our female basketball league is not yet back, so that's also have to be back to the country. We need to see a running and well-run female basketball league, and it will help in the progress of our basketball teams.
And your basketball league has to get really, really up. And talk about the league itself. The league should be a breeding ground for players that should be part of the national team. From what we've seen at the Paris Olympic Games, it was, a team of all foreign-based players. There's urgent need for us to see whether the talents are bound here in Nigeria.
Yes, we have a lot of home-based players, homegrown talents. But the problem is that grassroots basketball has not been able to produce those players as a result of our league not running. So a lot of our players that participated, if not all our players that participated in the just concluded Paris Olympics, are foreign-based players. So I feel like the league needs to come back to running, steady running, and if this is being done, yes, we can get a lot of home-based players and maybe call them up to the national team, and they'll be able to represent our country, because there's a lot of talent in this country, Nigeria. You go to some schools in the country, you see some female basketballers, and definitely they can do well as well if they represent the country, but the lack of the league not running has actually hampered to this cause, and I feel like the federation has a lot role to play and a lot of work to do behind the scenes for this league to be run well.
An effective league will lead to discovery of talents that should be part of complementary services for the Tigers that is already foreign-based. Yes, the activities on the foreign soil enhances the quality of participation. Of course, we've seen them take out their counterparts from Canada and Australia as well because of their cognitive experience. But then, after this time, there will be need to replacing one or two, and an effective league here in Nigeria could be effective breeding ground as well for the basketball players. Rene Wakama, the coach of the team, is not based here in Nigeria. She is based in the United States of America, but she's talked about a lot of investment into basketball. Funding has always been an issue. Is there any move by the Basketball Federation in ensuring that this request by the coach is heeded to?
No, for now, I don't think there've been any move for now, because I feel like for there to be a move, we need a lot of, will I say, breakdown and planning. There need to be a consistent planning, a structure that we need to build for this to be done. We can't just wake up one morning and send the girls to a major competition like the FIBA, the Olympics, as well as other tournaments, maybe the Afro Baskets. There are a lot of tournaments, but we can't just be sending our athletes to go and compete when we don't have a proper structure. So I feel the ministry has to structurize our female basketball, our male basketball as well. The coach has already come out to say it, but she needs backing as well. Proper funding needs to be put into the female basketball, as well as sponsorship deals also need to be done to promote the basketball, our female basketball in the country.
Effective marketing is needed in the Basketball Federation of Nigeria to maintain the status which the D Tigers have already got into a full aftermath of what happened at the Olympic Games, where they were able to get to the quarterfinal stage of the games. No other African country, both male and female, has been able to put up a basketball team at the quarterfinal stage of the Olympics. So I think this is good news, but the federation, the government, and of course the corporate society as well has to help sustain the laudable heights of the basketball team here in Nigeria. Away from basketball, get to wrestling. The president of Nigerian weightlifting federation, Ibrahim Abdul, has revealed that Team Nigeria at the just concluded Olympic Games could have been better if they had enough support. Efforts from the weightlifting federation falling short, where 2 of their weightlifters did not get to the medal zone.
Yes, I need to agree with him on this one. We fell short when it comes to weightlifting at this just concluded Paris Olympic Games. In the previous years, in the previous Olympics, the weightlifting federation have actually done enough for the teams to rack up those medals in the Olympics. So I feel like in the previous Olympics, we've come out with 1 or 2 medals from that division, from that federation. But this time around, it was not meant to be because of the lack of proper planning and the lack of proper structure that happened this time around. So the federation needs to do a lot behind the scenes to enable that in the next forthcoming Olympics, in the next 4 years, in the next 8 years, we'll be able to grind up those medals when it comes to participating in those events.
It's no longer a secret that weightlifting is one area where we have garnered medals in the past. But this time around, it fell short. Could it be lack of proper exposure with a couple of international tournaments? Because, yes, they are good, they are continental champions, but it looks like they are falling short with conditioning, appearing at tournaments prelude to the Olympic Games. We saw them, yes, they went to camping, but it looks like the camp came rather, in my opinion, late enough to ensuring that they got to the podium.
Yes, yes. Our athletes need to be active in the sports. You know, weightlifting is not just something you wake up one morning and participate in. You need to be consistent and you need to have proper training, day-to-day training in the weightlifting events. So those athletes need to compete in 1 or 2 events before the proper Olympics or the proper competition they'll be participating in. Having just camp few months before the Olympics cannot enable you to do enough for the proper event. So I feel like we need to be active in the sports. Our athletes in the past have participated in the Olympic Games in weightlifting and done well for themselves. But this time around, we actually fell short, which I feel like proper planning and proper structure was actually the issue. If our athletes have participated in other events prior to the Olympics, maybe, just maybe, they would have been active enough in the sport and fresh enough for them to be able to participate in the Olympics and come out successful.
Well, let's hope that in the past, what has happened in the past will remain in the past, and there will be proper, structuring of a training schedule for our weightlifters. Weightlifting, no doubt, is one area where we have done well in the past. We should continue and to build on that strength rather than begin to lose out. It was for me very disturbing that we did not have at least a bronze medal at the just concluded Olympic Games in Paris. Away from how teams have reacted aftermath of the last Olympic Games in Paris, now let's look at tennis. And in tennis, world number 1, Yannick Sinner from Italy has been cleared of any wrongdoing after twice testing positive for banned substance in March this year. The Cincinnati Masters is now come and gone, and Yannick Sinner, world number 1, has been able to make an impact, but he's testing positive to a steroid that could be used to build muscles during the India Wells last match. Continues to recuperate. The tennis integrity unit has said that he is not culpable because the banned substance entered the system through a massage from his physiotherapist, and so he is not culpable, and so he will not be banned or punished for having this banned substance in the system.
Yeah, I feel it's a good one for Yannick Sinner. It's a good one for Les Camp as well. A good news for them. We know that Yannick Sinner is a very promising and talented tennis player. At the age of 23, he's been able to win 1 or 2 Grand Slam for himself. And we know that in the just concluded Cincinnati Open, he was able to come out with the title as well. And the US Open is still by the corner. Yannick Sinner, this is a good one for him. Having tested positive to a banned substance would have dampened his name, but unfortunately he came out on the top of this, will I say, of this ruling. So it's a fantastic one for Yannick Sinner and his camp.
Fantastic one for Yannick Sinner and his camp, and we just hope that they will be more careful next time, because It is banned. It is banned, and punishment could come out his way if not careful. Talking about Yannick Sinner, he was able to take out his opponent at the just concluded Cincinnati Masters in the United States of America with just about less than 7 days or so to the U.S. Open. Can he maintain his #1 status and, of course, show the difference at the U.S. Open coming up in the United States of America, New York?
Yes, definitely. Yannick Sinner, he showed a little bit of consistency over the years, and this year especially he's been doing quite well for himself. But unfortunately, he's been hit with some 1 or 2 injuries, which actually made him to fall down below the park a little bit. We've seen him not competed. He was meant to compete at the just concluded Olympic Games, but unfortunately for him, he couldn't do that due to the cause of a hip injury. Yes, Yannick Sinner, he's been proving his worth over the time, and he's showed the kind of class of tennis player he is. He's still a young player, and he still has a lot of time to build. I still see him still doing well, but there are a lot of other young promising talents as well, the likes of Casper Ruud, the likes of Carlos Alcaraz, that will still be contending and to gain that top spot in the U.S. Open, as well as the legend himself, Novak Djokovic. So Yannick Sinner still has a lot to do.
Yannick Sinner has a lot to do. Yes, he has been forgiven for having his system tainted off a massage from his physiotherapist, but he will be losing as much as $325,000 US. And as if that is not enough, 400 points at the end at the at the end at the Indian Wells tournament will be taken away from him.
Yes, that's the will I say that's the cost that he has to go carry on his shoulders right now, due to the fact that he was not careful enough. I feel like this one has to pile down to his camp. They need to be very, very watchful and very, very careful next time when he does things like this. You know, there are some athletes that have fallen down the park because of causes like this. So Yannick Sinner needs to be very, very careful when he gets to other will I say domestic activities aside of playing tennis. So he needs to be careful enough. Having those points withdrawn from him is a big one, and it could hamper his career. So I feel Yannick Sinner should look forward in the future and do well next time.
Well, Yannick Sinner, no doubt, right now the #1 tennis player in the world, following by the latest ranking that we do have. We've told you how he's lost 400 points now from that. And you see him getting these 400 points back at the U.S. Open that comes up by next week, because we've seen him now like one man who needs to at least be consistent after Novak Djokovic was dethroned from the #1 position.
Yes, for him to gain that much points, he needs to be at the top level when competing in the U.S. Open. We know that he needs at least to reach the later stages of the competition, the late stages like the quarterfinal stages, semi-final, as well as, if possible, the final. If not, for him to win the tournament, for him to regain that much points. So Yannick Sinner needs to be on that top level for him to regain that point. So I feel like if he could do that, definitely he will be retain his top spot.
Yannick Sinner could retain his top spot if he gets to the latter stages of the U.S. Open that gets underway next week. And 2,000 points is at stake at the U.S. Open, and let's see how many of the 2,000 points that he will get. But let's look at how consistent can he be. Only January this year, he won his very first title at the Australian Open, and I think he was at the semi-final of the French Open. Yes, that was in June. And thereafter, we've seen him get to the quarterfinals of the Wimbledon as well. Can he now, take it a step higher by winning the U.S. Open? Then we can say Yannick Sinner has arrived as the first Italian at doing that. He wasn't at the Olympic Games, we understand, because of tonsillitis. And so we want to see him be consistent. Can he be consistent and, of course, make 2024 a year where he did not only win his first Wimbledon title, the first Grand Slam title, but one where he consolidated on his position as #1 tennis player in the world?
Yes, we know that tennis, especially the male category, is a very, very hard one to call. We've seen a lot of players that have been tipped to do great things in the male category but fall down the pedal. So Yannick Sinner needs to be consistent. Consistency is the big word for him. consistency is the big word for him. If not for injuries, maybe he would have done well at the Paris Olympics as well. But I feel like injury has done a lot for him this year as well. Injury has not been too good for him. Yannick Sinner, he needs to be consistent enough. At the US Open, there are a lot of fantastic players, the likes of Alexandra Zverev, Stefanos Tsitsipas, big name players that will be competing. So he needs to keep his head in the game, and his coaching staff as well have a lot of role to play in enabling Yannick Sinner to be fantastic, because your coaching staff, your nutritionists all have a role to play when it comes to playing tennis. So if all this could be done and he keeps his head in the game and keeps his head low, I feel like Yannick Sinner has a long way to go.
Yannick Sinner, one man I say is very lucky. He won but tested twice in 1 year, tested twice, and yet he was forgiven by the tennis integrity unit. But some other renowned tennis player like Nick Kyrgios from Australia is very livid that there's no way someone who has tested twice should be forgiven, because whether you like it or not, the massage cream, that got him tainted, enhanced his performances, and he should have been punished. But what do I know? Like the Grigos, he's saying that he's just lucky.
Yes, a little bit of luck.
2 years, he should have had the 2-year ban.
Yeah, I agree with him. A little bit of luck has been on Yannick Sinner's side. Maybe due to the fact that he's the kind of personality that he portrays. We know Yannick Sinner is a very, will I say, a little bit shy. He doesn't, he's not outspoken. He's just calm, and he doesn't show some little bit of arrogancy. Players like Kyrgios, we've seen him in the past show arrogancy on the courts, and maybe that have been the cause of how he was treated in the past as well. But Yannick Sinner does not have that kind of personality. He's a calm person and a polite person. He comes out playing, he tells you how it is, and he's always on the good side of tennis. We've not had any wrongdoing of Yannick Sinner in the past. It was just unfortunate that he tested positive twice to a banned substance, a muscle enhancing substance, which he has actually been cleared of. So Yannick Sinner should be a little bit careful, very, very careful in the coming years when it comes to playing tennis.
Well, let's hope that at Flushing Meadows, he will be able to answer some of his critics and, of course, get that behind him, because at the US Open, he'll definitely be a top seed. Let's see whether he'll be able to upset Novak Djokovic, maybe Carlos Alcaraz as well. But we'll say congratulations to him for winning the Cincinnati title only a few hours ago, where he beat Tafo to the Cincinnati title. I think that is yet another one after the Australia Open title he won in January this year. Time for us to take a break. When we return from a break, we'll go to the ever-busy world of football. But of course, before football, I think we should have one or two stories as well coming in from the Ultimate Fight Championship, where Israel Adesanya continued to raid after losing at UFC 305. When we return from a break, there will be a lot of details coming your way, because in football, a lot is happening at the beginning of the season. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Networks, and on this edition of the program, Ikazi is here, and together we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. We told you about how troubling times ahead because Favour Philly is not completely in sync with the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. A lot of people have rumored that she could be changing her nationality, but in the days ahead, we'll see how this is successfully handled by the Federal Ministry of Sports and the Athletics Federation of Nigeria as well. We told you as well how lucky Yannisina has been tested positive twice to a banned substance, yet he's been forgiven by the Tennis Federation for this incident. He may have been forgiven, but he lost nearly $330,000 in combination with 400 points that he earned at the Indian Wells tournament. But now, let's go to the other aspects of the program for you this hour. And we start with the Ultimate Fight Championship, where it's no longer news that Israel Adesanya lost to South Africa's Du Plessis at the UFC 305 event. But the issue right now in Dibona is that Adesanya, who lost, earned more money than the Du Plessis from South Africa that won the middleweight championship title. We are told that Israel Adesanya, a former champion, earned nearly $800,000, $750,000 to be specific, as compared to $500,000 won by South African, who beat him on the night in Perth at Australia.
Yeah, Israel Adesanya, a two-time middleweight champion in the UFC, a very fantastic one. The Nigerian has represented in the UFC very, very well, especially when it comes to that category, middleweight category. He's been doing a lot for himself and for his country as well. Israel Adesanya, he's a very fantastic fighter, but unfortunately for him, he came out on the wrong foot when fighting the South African some few days ago. But he's been actually tipped to gain £750,000 or dollars, $750,000, a huge sum, more than even the actual winner of the fight gained. And he's been given that money, or he's gained that money because of his previous achievement in the sports. A two-time middleweight champion is not just an easy title or an easy achievement to gain. So Israel Adesanya has been gaining so much money from that sport, and getting that amount of money, even after losing, is a big one for him and his camp as a whole. So I feel like the UFC has used Israel Adesanya, and this is time for him now to cash out from the UFC. So getting that kind of amount, even after losing, I think is a plus for Israel Adesanya and his camp.
Wow, that's the hope that Israel Adesanya will make do with this money, because it looks like he's not having enough tournaments anymore ahead of him.
Yes, Israel Adesanya, we know that for the past 1 year now, he's had only about 2 fights, if I'm not mistaken. The last one with Sean Strickland, which he was actually defeated before the Du Plessis fight. So we know he's no longer as young as he used to be. He's about 35 right now. He was asked just after the fight if he will continue with the UFC, and he came out to say that yes, he still feels that he's strong enough to compete. So I think it's a good one for him.
Well, let's look at some of the WBO world title fight coming up, and we know that it's common knowledge that we have Nigeria's what's his name now?
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua, in the waiting. But then a New Zealander is up after winning the vacant WBO world title in a close contest with Andy Ruiz. There is a certain Parker who has made 2 successful defenses of his title. What do you make of this new name, Parker, from New Zealand?
Yes, Joseph Parker, he's been one of the big names when it comes to the heavyweight category in boxing these days. We've seen him to be, or we've known him to be, a very, very prominent fighter. We've seen him fight with the likes of Andy Ruiz Jr., the likes of Deontay Wilder as well. So he's a big name when it comes to the heavyweight category these days, and he's been getting those wins these days in the heavyweight category. I still tip him to be one of those big fighters in that category, as well as the likes of Anthony Joshua, Zui Zhang, and the likes of Deontay Wilder, as well as the Tyson Furies and the Usyk of this world. So it's a good one for Joseph Parker.
Well, let's hope that Joseph Parker will come. But do you still see AJ, when a rematch is had on the cards?
Yes. Anthony Joshua, we know since his defeat to his second loss to Alexander Usyk, he's come back into boxing very stronger, and he's been doing big things for himself. He came back to fight some few months ago, and he actually came out with the win. So I feel even after the fight with the former UFC champion, what's his name now? The former UFC champion, I'm forgetting his name. Anthony Joshua has done a lot when it comes to boxing. We know him to be an Olympic gold medalist in the past. So right now, he's not on his best, but in the previous time, when entering the ring, he showed class, and he showed how consistent he could be. So AJ still has a lot to come. I still tip him to maybe have one championship fight even before the end of his career.
Well, let's pray, and I do hope that that comes to see the light of the day. Now, let's get to football, and of course, we'll start on the local scene where Edo Queens have secured a place in the finals of the CAF Women's Champions League. This has elated the governor of the state, Obaseki, who has congratulated the girls after defeating FC Inter the Abidjan of Ivory Coast by 2-1 in the semi-final only yesterday.
Yes, Edo Queens, we know that they are the reigning champion of the Nigerian Professional Football League, the female version. So it's a good one for them, and they'll be representing the country in the female version of the CAF Champions League that will be held in November this year. We know that there will be the third country, the third club from Nigeria to represent at the events that was just formed in 2022 or 2021. We know Edo Queen to be a formidable team as well. They've been doing quite well for themselves. So I feel like the governor of the state has done a lot to make sure that the team progresses. And right now, when it comes to female football in the country, they are the most determined team and the most organized team for now. So I give them kudos for that.
Bayelsa Queens and Rivers Angels are the only other Nigerian teams that have played into the group stages of the CAF Women's Champions League. And so we say congratulations to Edo Queens and do hope that they will make an impact at this year's Wafubi tournament, where they became champions only yesterday. I talk about Bayelsa Queens, reminds me of Bayelsa United Football Club, because they won the 2024 Governor Doye Diri's preseason tournament. They featured some teams from the south of Nigeria. We understand they beat Insurance of Benin 7-6 on penalties to emerge as champions of the Doye Diri preseason tournament that featured Rivers United and others as well.
Yes, it's a good one for the Bayelsa United team. We know the league will be starting.
Yes.
Yeah, in some few days' time, on 31st of this month, and it's a good pre-season tournament for them.
They had the teams like Bayelsa United,
Aqua United as well, yeah.
Rivers United, Insurance of Benin. I think Kwara United was in that tournament. They were an 8-team tournament.
Yes, it's a good one. Having played against some of the best legs in the MPFL, it shows a lot, and it shows maybe they have been determined for the upcoming season and prepared enough to play MPFL football. But you never can tell. The league is still forthcoming. Maybe if they could take this form into the league proper, maybe I see them doing good things in the MPFL season this year.
Bayelsa United, in a match played at the Samson Sessia Stadium in Yenagua, pipped Insurance of Benin by 7-6 on penalties, and by that effort, they had 1.5 million naira courtesy of the sponsor of the tournament, the Bayelsa State Governor, and Insurance that came second had 1 million naira. There was a top place tournament won by Kwara United, and of course, the effort gave them 500,000 naira. I think this is it's worth for the few days they spent in Yenagua.
Yes, we know in every tournament, the clubs will be looking at the monetary aspect and how much they could gain from the tournaments. Participating in a tournament without getting anything is just like, let's say, having an investment with no returns. So I feel like the club that participated and finished first, second, third, that got their prize money will actually use those prize money to force their team maybe in the transfer windows this season, because a lot of clubs in the MPFL have been signing big. So it's a good one for the team. It's a good one for the Bayelsa State government as well.
Well, talking about clubs in the Nigerian Professional Football League, they are preparing for a new season that should get underway in just about 2 weeks or so from now. Let's quickly go across to Europe because there's quite a lot of activities taking place in Europe. And one is a reaction that from Well, just before we get to Europe, let's see. We still have one or two stories from the local scene here. We understand Lobby Stars have cleared as many as 15, or they have recruited 15 players for this season. And I wonder when a team recruits as many as 15 players in the course of a season. It looks like you're changing the entire team.
Yes, we've known MPFL teams in the past to recruit as much as that, but it's just quite surprising that a team will sign as much as 15 players in a summer window. It makes me to begin to wonder how many players leaves, because having as much as 15 players in your dressing room, the dressing room will become over-squadded and too much for the coach to handle. So Lobby Stars signing 15 players for this MPFL season. I just pray it doesn't make them on the disadvantage, because signing that much players, the coach will have a lot of egos in the dressing room and a lot of players to manage. So for me, it's not a good one, but you never can tell. Maybe they'll be letting a lot of players leave as well. I just pray those players as well are being contracted, because for you to sign in a club like Lobby Stars, you need a professional contract as well. So signing as much as 15 players, hopefully those players are contracted and we don't begin to hear issues like lack of salary or lack of player bonuses and the rest. So it's a good one for Lobby Stars. For now, to me, I don't feel like they should have signed as much as 15 players, but the team actually knows what's best for them, and let's see what's happened from now.
All right, let's quickly now go to Europe. And talking about going to Europe, we understand there has been a major shake-up in the under-23 side of the French national team. I remember Thierry Henry got them a silver medal just concluded Olympic Games, but now he's resigned his position. Where is Thierry Henry going?
Thierry Henry. He's one of the legends of football, especially in the Premier League, and Arsenal legend, as well as the France football national team legend. We know that he took the France under-23 team to success at the just concluded Paris Olympics. Unfortunately for him, they were not able to come out with the gold, but they clinched the silver medal, and he's come out to step down from his role. So for now, he has not come out with an official statement. The French Football Federation has not come out with an official statement as well. But I wish him the best. Maybe him going back to the MLS to coach, or just maybe coaching an European team as well could be the next step for Thierry Henry.
Well, let's still stay in Europe, where Manchester City midfielder Phil Foden has been named as the professional football player of the year. Do you think this is a good choice, PFN naming Phil Foden as the player, young player of the year?
Phil Foden was a fantastic player for Manchester City last season. He was one of the top players that played in the Premier League that enabled Manchester City to clinch their 4th title in a row.
He scored 19 goals last season.
Yes, 19 goals, and he provided a lot of assists as well. But for me, I would have picked the Chelsea youngster, Cole Palmer, because it was an individual performance.
Cole Palmer won the young player.
Yeah, the young player of the year, but he was also nominated for the men's senior player of the year as well. Because I feel like it's an individual award. So your team performances or your team performance, to me, does not play a role in this award. But the English FA actually know how they give these awards. Because this one, the fans don't vote for. This is not the fans' version. The fans have their own version. So it's a good one for Phil Foden. It's a good one for Manchester City. They clinched the male version of the award as well as the female, with their other player, Shaw, their female player, winning the award as well.
Erling Haaland, Robin. Erling Haaland, a lot of people think that maybe he should have gotten this one.
No, to me, Erling Haaland was not as impactful as he was in his first season for Manchester City. We know that he was a top scorer, but we know that he missed some games due to injury, and Phil Foden had to step in and played fantastic for the citizens, which actually made them to come out with the flying colours in the just concluded Premier League last season.
Cole Palmer is moving out of Chelsea?
No, I don't see that happening, because he just I feel he just increased his contract. He penned down a new contract which will keep him at the club till about 2033. So I feel like a lot of people didn't see that coming, due to the fact that he just signed a year prior to this one, a 7 years contract. So adding about 3 years again to his contracted signature is a big one, keeping him to the club till 2030 something. So it's a good one for Cole Palmer, it's a good one for Chelsea as well, because he gives the club a lot of quality in midfield.
Talking about Chelsea, they looked. We talked about Lobby Stars just a few seconds ago, signing 15 players in the course of the season. Chelsea now has we understand, nearly 50 players on their books, and a lot of some first-team players are beginning to complain. Raheem Sterling complained loudly at the weekend because he was dropped. Ben Chilwell as well, among some of the other players, are complaining. But the coach, Maresca, is finding it difficult to keep the dressing room after just one match in charge.
Yes, that comes with the issue when a team begins to sign players without letting a lot of players leave as well. We know the Chelsea squad right now is overbloated. The likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Ben Chilwell, Chalobah, as well as Broha, have not even been able to make the squad in their last game. So the Chelsea manager right now, the Chelsea owner, Todd Bowley, right now need to make a lot of changes when it comes to signing players. They need to let a lot of players leave before the end of the summer transfer window.
One of the biggest news right now in Europe it has to do with Kylian Mbappe's debt not being paid by Paris Saint-Germain, and he's threatened to report them to the authorities. We are saying that if they don't pay, they could miss participating in the ongoing UEFA Champions League.
Yeah, Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain, unfortunately, even after his move, they still have a lot of issues that could hinder.
He said he's being owed as much as 55 million euros.
Yes, Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah.
Salaries and bonuses.
Yeah, we know that they even wanted him to stay, and they even threatened to keep him at the club last season and not playing him, giving him first chances to play. But Kylian Mbappe decided to stay and let his contract run, and Paris Saint-Germain had a lot of issues with that transfer. So I feel like they are trying to frustrate Kylian Mbappe. But unfortunately for them, if they continue like this, they will be on the loss, because there are a lot of rules backing football these days. They need to pay Kylian Mbappe and let Kylian Mbappe be a free man, because he has served that team. He has done a lot for the team.
He's free already. At least he's playing for Paris, for PSG. I'm sorry, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yeah.
But then he has to cancel some of the imbroil between him and the Paris Saint-Germain, and he's done his job, and I think he should be paid. This is via contract.
Yeah, everything is contracted in football. Kylian Mbappe has his lawyers backing him, and the rules also backing him. So I feel like Paris Saint-Germain are playing with fire right now, because if UEFA or FIFA should go into this matter and take this matter maybe to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, I feel like Paris Saint-Germain will be on the loss.
Paris Saint-Germain could be on the loss. They've lost the player himself. Then they need to pay him so as not to incur more wrath from the football authorities in Europe, because they could be expelled from the Champions League. But talking about Paris Saint-Germain and Kylian Mbappe, he's moved on, but he has not been replaced by any player. We understand Ademola Lookman from Atalanta could be the player that will fill the void left by Kylian Mbappe.
Yes, Ademola Lookman has been a fantastic player for Atlanta over the last 2 years. You know that previously to now, Paris Saint-Germain were looking at the signing of Jadon Sancho from Manchester United, but unfortunately for them, that a deal was not struck. So now they are looking forward to the signature of Ademola Lookman, a fantastic player who have done well. To me, I tip him to win the African Player of the Year this year. But a lot of people have been saying that maybe Victor Boniface. But personally for me, I feel Ademola Lookman has done enough this year to clinch that award. I feel he will be a good replacement and a good signing for Paris Saint-Germain if that eventually happens.
That is his goal scorer, Ademola Lookman. Of course, you remember he moved from the English Premier League just about a year ago to Italy, and he's done so well. He's won his first trophy with Atalanta after 61 years, and that's a big one there. Quickly in Europe, Liverpool have agreed to terms with just a new player, Giorgio Marashvili. This is good news for Slot, who, to me, is making his very first signing for the season.
Yes, Liverpool, they've been kind of, will I say, calm when it comes to signings in this season, this summer. They've not been able to sign any player, but it's a good news for them, agreeing terms with the Georgian goalkeeper, Mamadiashvili from Valencia. He's a good goalkeeper, and he showed his class at the just concluded European Championships, which he represented his country, Georgia. He was very fantastic in that tournament. So I feel it will be a good backup for Alisson in Liverpool, and it will be a good and fantastic signing for Anslot and his squad.
That will be it for this edition of Sports Talk. Definitely we'll be back at 6 p.m. Nigerian time for Sports Extraordinary. And until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.